Hi everyone, my name's Amanda Henderson and I'm the proud founder of Thread HR, and I'm delighted to be joining Laura Greenwood Therapy and team as we celebrate and recognise the importance of Maternal Mental Health Week. So what I'm going to talk to you today on the video about is steps that we can take to help make it a whole lot easier and smoother for mothers particularly to return to work after a maternity leave. And you'll see that a lot of what I'm talking about is all about giving people clarity around what to expect. We all know that when there isn't clarity, it can make people anxious, it can make them very stressed, it can be frustrating, you can find you're sort of second guessing yourselves. And imagine if you've been away from any situation for, a year or so. That's a really long time. Things can change so much in that time. So if as a business you're making an assumption that someone can just pop straight back to work, I'm afraid that's just not the reality. So I'm going to talk you through some very practical steps to take within your team. And when I say your team, it doesn't have to be your line manager and it doesn't have to be HR. It could be anyone who is appropriate within the business to have these conversations, and that's going to vary from organisation to organisation. And of course there are bodies like Thread HR that can help in these situations as well. So one of the first things you want to do is, as you're planning for someone to go on maternity leave, you want to be talking to them about what level of communication they would like while they're on leave. Now, until you've had a baby, you don't quite know how that is going to affect your world. So it might be that this agreement changes over time. It might be that it starts up fairly high and that person feels like they want to know everything that's going on in the organisation, and then that changes and actually they want to know a little bit less. Or it might be that they think they just want to park work for the time being, but actually then find that they're wondering, how's everything going? How did that project land that I launched, for example? So before someone goes on their maternity leave, tip number one is make sure you agree the levels of communication that you're going to have with them. As part of that preparation as well, you want to be making sure that all your relevant policies are easily accessible to that person. So as a base level, this is going to be a maternity policy, might be shared parental leave policy if they're using that, flexible working policies, and even how to request holiday, because of course you can request holiday before and after your maternity leaves. So making sure all those policies are easily accessible and that person knows where to look. Linked in with this, you want to be making sure that whoever is going to be that person's point of contact whilst on maternity leave, and HR as well, you want to make sure that they are clear on the dates that you're due back. That the employee is due back. Now this sounds really obvious, but this is something that can so easily get missed. So when you get that pregnancy confirmation document through from the pregnant employee, make sure that those dates are diarised and that you work backwards to make sure that you're getting in touch with that person in the run up to their return. At that point, you can then talk about things like KIT days. So KIT is an acronym, we all love an acronym, for Keep in Touch Days. And these are paid days, that's really important. That can be taken if both sides agree that they're a good idea. And they can be a great way for someone to start to get up to speed with what's happened whilst they've been away on their maternity leave. And with these, I'd really encourage you to make sure that they're really purposeful for that employee. So they're really starting to get a flavour and a reminder of the business that they're coming back into. So think about what they might be. It might be that they're actually a social event. It might be a conference. It might be that they need to do some training. It might be that there's new members of the team that have joined that they haven't met before. You might have even moved location. Processes might have changed. All of these things can all be really well considered and thought through to make sure they're powerful KIT days, helping to remove some uncertainty for that person returning from their maternity leave. Now, what you want to think about as well is obviously KIT days, there's that very practical element, but also there's that emotional element. Like I said, some parents are returning to work sometimes even longer than a year if they've added some holiday onto their maternity leave. And that is a really long time. And doing that emotional check-in is really, really important as well. It might make sense to do it when that person's doing some of their kid days, or it might be that someone is checking in with them regularly on the agreed methods, of course, by email, by phone, to see how that person's really feeling about coming back to work. How are they feeling about leaving their kids for the first time, about childcare and all those additional concerns that we all face as parents. It might be that there's existing support that they're not aware of and that you can signpost them to, or actually there might be questions the business hasn't had before or things to think about that they then need to go away and look at before coming back to that person. Now, like I said, even though this person has worked for the organisation before, a year's a really long time. I've said that loads now, if it is up to a year. So you almost want to treat that return to work in the same way as you should be doing if you've got a new starter. So you're almost planning an induction, but I guess it's a reintroduction to the business. So really put together a considered plan for what day one looks like. Are they getting a big welcome back to the business? Are they getting met in the morning? Are they being shown around if you are in a new place? They're being introduced to new people. What does that first week look like? So you did a handover of projects and bits of work when they went on maternity leave, but how are you going to phase them starting to pick up work again and getting up to speed? If someone's got a plan in their hands, a tangible plan, that's going to give them the reassurance that there's that understanding that there'll be that gradual build up to being able to get back to full capacity, whatever that might be, and over whatever period of time. The last thing to remember is when you've got a returning mum coming back to work, is that first week is not done and dusted. Great, they've come back, seems like they've had a good time, happy days. No. Keep having the check-ins, and this is really important because when there's a change, there's a period of adjustment, right? So do keep checking in again, whether this is the line manager, HR, or someone else within that organisation. Keep checking in with that person and create a space for them where they can honestly say, actually, I'm completely cream crackered. Actually, the nursery called and I found it really stressful and everything was fine, but actually, what would I do, if I did need to go? So do keep doing those check-ins, and like I said, kind of treat it the same as if you'd have a new employee, and probably at least for up to sort of 6 weeks, if not even 12 weeks, which is the normal probation time. You want to be checking in with that mum and making sure that everything is making sense. She's got access to everything that she needs to do her job well. She's been told everything that she needs to do a good job. Assumptions are really dangerous here, guys, so do those check-ins. And those are some really practical top tips from an HR perspective to remove any confusion or lack of clarity that a new mum might be feeling that's only going to add to stress and anxiety about coming back to work. If you need any additional support, let us know. www.threadhr.co.uk, and I'm Amanda Henderson.